Hey, what's up? It's Cody again. I did my first video a couple days ago about the Tennessee Titans, which is my NFL team. I'm doing this one about Alabama. Like I said, I'm gonna do one about the Tennessee Titans and then another one about the Alabama Crimson Tide. Strictly football. Um, I only really watch football, so that's all I'm going to talk about. Um, we're going to do recruiting, um, do coaches, and just all of that good, wonderful stuff. First off, I guess we can go talk about the 2019 season overall. A lot of people think it may have been more on the downside. Obviously, Alabama and all of the fans are just, they're so accustomed to always going not just to the playoffs, but going to the national championship. So when we don't even make the playoffs, it's kind of a shocker. I want to get into the fact that given all of the injury issues and the fact that Ayibe Anome never worked out and he transferred, Antonio Alfano, of course, he was a freshman, but still, he didn't work out and he transferred, kind of left us with a little bit less bodies to kind of being able to rotate in. And then, obviously missing out on guys like Nakobe Dean, Henry Tuatoa. Missing out on those guys really hurt. Not trying to take anything away from Shane Lee and especially Christian Harris, who in high school never played the inside linebacker position. So I think Christian Harris did a really good job, considering, the circumstances. I mean, it's hard for a dude to never play the inside linebacker position to come in year one and play at a very high level against elite competition. I mean, you're going up against teams like Texas A&M, LSU, Auburn. I mean, those guys, they're good offenses, man. Even Duke did some good, interesting stuff. It's just they were so outmatched talent wise that it really didn't even matter. Um, Shane Lee, he ain't gonna. I don't think he's gonna be that much of an impact going forward. Largely because Dylan Moses is coming back. We're also bringing in guys like Demore Kennedy, Drew Sanders, who can play outside or inside. Drew Sanders I think, is just a freak of nature. We also got guys like Quandarius Robinson. He can go from outside to inside, just kind of depending on what is needed of him. So the inside linebacker position's pretty much solidified. Christian Harris, I think, outplayed Shane Lee. Shane Lee's he's too big. He is too big. You saw it over and over and over again all through his freshman year. Last year, he would always take horrible angles, or he would just get outran. It really seemed like it didn't matter who he was lined up against. A running back, torched him. Tight end, torched him. Wide receivers, absolute kill switch. Just didn't seem to really make a difference on who he was covering, who he was lined up against. It always seemed like he lost almost every single battle. And the fact that he's a great tackler is just he's good against the run. That's all he is. But when it comes to possible passing downs, he should never have been in the game. He shouldn't have ever have had to be in the game. Christian Harris progressed throughout the year. Like I said earlier, I think he did really good considering the fact that he played wide receiver, cornerback, and he returned kicks in high school, and that's all he did. He never played the inside linebacker position. And we all know how important the inside linebacker role is, just in defense in general, but especially in a team and a defensive scheme like Alabama and what Nick Saban runs. You got to have that mental aspect, and you got to have it down pat, you know. And that's what we missed with Galen Moses and even Joshua McMillan, even though he isn't talented per se, even anywhere close to a guy like Galen Moses. The mental aspect, he knew the defense, he knew the alignment, he knew the scheme, he knew what to call and how to check and when to check and what to check into. And we missed that, you know. And it really showed later in the year, you know, when we played Auburn, when we played, especially when we played LSU, but it didn't matter who we had on the would have had on the field. I don't think we weren't going to stop LSU. I think we would have won, but I don't think we would have stopped them. But maybe one to two more times, which is all that Alabama would have needed to do. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand. You know, everybody talks all this jumbo greatness about, you know, teams like Georgia. You know, they got beat down. They got scored, I think, like their defense let like 37 points, like 35 or let's see, it was like 35 or 37 points against LSU, and they had their starters out. You know, they didn't have injuries like Alabama did. You know, could you imagine if they didn't have J.R. Reed, you know, LeCounte, Monty Rice? Could you imagine if they didn't have those guys? That defense would have let like 45 plus against LSU. So I'm looking it up right now. I think it was like 35 or 37. But still, though, I mean, we gave up, you know, 45, and that was without LeBron, Ray, Gale being, you know, injured, Davis being, you know, lackluster all year, Moses, McMillan out. You know, I mean, those guys play huge roles. Yeah, 37. It was 37-10 LSU over Georgia, but I think overall it wasn't a bad year. I was one of the guys that jumped on the whole Pete Golding, you know, he needs to go train. Thinking about it longer, I don't think you can really, I mean, obviously you can put some blame on Golding. I mean, he is the developer of inside linebackers, and he is the defense coordinator, but I don't think you can ultimately put the whole thing on him. But this year, if we don't have the injuries and nothing's changed, I think a change at defense coordinator is very likely to happen. Offense was just amazing. It didn't, I mean, we missed a little bit here and there without Tua Tagovailoa, but man, even with Mac Jones in at quarterback, I mean, we were still getting 40 points a game. We were still getting a lot of yards. So I think that just goes to show just how good our offense can be. And we're bringing in a dog, the best quarterback in the country, in Bryce Young. A little small, but he's already up to about 190 pounds, so he's gained about 7 to 8 pounds since he last weighed in at, I believe, like the All-American game and stuff like that. Since he has been a signee and since he's been on campus, he's already gained about 7 or 8 pounds, which, playing in the SEC, you're going to have to. You know, you can't be 5'11" or even 6 foot and be under 200 pounds. And expect your body to just take hit after hit after hit after hit. I had him going in to the A-Day game, most likely weighing somewhere around 196 to maybe 200 tops, which would be right on schedule for, the start of the year being, around that 205 range, which is where I would feel a lot more comfortable if he had to play. I don't know if he starts day one. I don't know if I really want him to start day one. Again, he's a small kid. He's very small. I don't want him to get beaten up and get hurt and, get on that injured report time after time. I want him to kind of get bigger, get more, built muscle wise and definition wise, that way he can take those hits. That's what concerns me about Bryce Young, and that is the only thing that concerns me with that kid. That kid is just a absolute baller. You can't find a bad area in his football game. Now his measurables as far as like height and weight, that's you can find a little problem there. But his actual football capability and ability is phenomenal. He might actually end up the number one player in the entire country when it's all said and done with. Coming out on the 28th is when 247 releases their final rankings. Another dude that I'm really impressed by and really looking forward to is Will Anderson. Everybody knows about Drew Sanders. Even though he hasn't camped or really anything, the dude's a beast. All you gotta do is just look at his film. He's probably the only player in the country that could be a 5-star tight end and a 5-star defensive player. A legit 5-star on both sides of the ball, not just a 5-star athlete. You can put him as a pure tight end and he's a 5-star. Put him as a outside linebacker, pure 5-star. That's how good and talented this kid is, and he's very football smart. His dad's a coach, so he knows the game in and out. He has a very high football IQ coming out of high school. Not only that, but he plays for a very big high school. So it's not like he was going up against little kids. He's from Denton, Texas, so he plays very good competition. But I really like Will Anderson. Listen, I love the kids out of Texas, California, Florida, and Georgia. I'll take 4 stars from those states over 5 stars from New Jersey, Illinois, Ohio. I'll take 4 stars from those states over the 5 stars from the other states that I just mentioned. It's just they're bred different, Georgia, they it's like they breed them differently down there. Florida, especially South Florida, among Jerry Jeudy is from, and Titus Jones Bell, they're from that South Florida. They're just built differently down there. But Will Anderson, that dude is a freak. A lot of people are very high on him going into the All-American game as for his potential. And he came in there, guns blazing, eyes on a mission. And he just owned every practice. He dominated every practice, and he dominated all the snaps. And he dominated in the game. It was really him and Brian Breezy, the Clemson commit, who really just straight up dominated the game from snap to finish. It was either Brian Breezy coming in or Will Anderson or both at the same time. I mean, you couldn't stop them. There was no blocking both of them, and you couldn't double them. If you doubled Will Anderson, Brian Breezy beat his guy with ease. If you doubled Brian Breezy, Will Anderson beat his guy with relatively ease. Another guy is Demore Kennedy. He's out of Theodore, Alabama, in-state kid. Very good pickup. LSU tried to get him late. I wasn't really worried, He always loved Bama. He liked Bama. It was his school. And I think once he committed, it was essentially over. Very good kid. A lot of people, even his head coach at Theodore, also coached C.J. Mosley. And he says that he reminds him very similar to C.J. Mosley. Very hard worker, very smart, team-oriented player, gonna do what is best for the football team. The other guy I like, who I think is one of the best running backs in the entire country, is Jase McClellan. I think he's a 5-star capable back. He's out of Aledo, Texas. So again, another Texas guy that's a 4-star, but is a straight up baller. The dude, he dominates. And a common theme, not just with him or Kennedy, but with the entire class, is they're team oriented. They're very high character guys. You're not getting the guy like Anome, who had a little bit of character issues, or Antonio Alfano, who definitely had character issues or red flags. I mean, Alfano was at 3 different high schools before he graduated to come to college. Talented kids, but off the field might have not have been 100% there. At least committed, anyways, to the game. But Jase McClellan, I mean, the dude is, I think him and Trey Sanders is going to be somebody special. They're going to be that dangerous 1-2 punch. And it's going to be fun to watch, man. The dude is, it don't matter. He can go off tackle. He can go through the A or B gap. It don't matter where he goes or where he runs. He can get you the tough yards, or he can, do the little razzle-dazzle jukes or stiff arms. The dude can do what is needed of him, and he can catch the football. He's a complete running back. But the best part about it is he has no off-the-field problems. The dude is 100% there, and he's 100% committed on and off of the football field. Brian Branch, I think he's an underrated safety. I think if he just played strictly safety in high school, I think he would be ranked higher. I think he's a top 2 safety in my opinion. The dude's just a straight baller. There's really nothing else to say about it. He's not very fast or whatnot per se, but the dude's a ball hawk. I mean, if you just look at his highlight reels, this dude can catch. I mean, I guess if we were short-handed on wide receivers, he can switch on the ball and play wide receiver, which is what he did in high school. And he made some very good catches, especially the one-handed catches. Just phenomenal. Timothy Smith, I think, is somebody to really look at and go, I think he can make a freshman impact on the defensive side of the ball that I don't think a lot of people outside of Alabama is talking about. A lot of people are talking about, as far as defense, Will Anderson, Drew Sanders, maybe DeMoy Kennedy. Not a lot of people are talking about Timothy Smith. That dude can play. I think if he came out in the same class per se as DJ Gale, and they both committed to Alabama, it really wouldn't have been, no disrespect to Gale, but I don't think Gale would have gave him a lot of competition. Timothy Smith is just very, very good. He don't do camps. He don't do any of that kind of thing. So I think that kind of hurts his ranking. Again, rankings are just rankings. Me personally, I have him around 40 to about 50 at the worst. And the composite on 247 has him at 70. One wide receiver that I don't hear a lot of, especially from Alabama, but I would really like if we can hold on to him, all based on grades, and if he can come in good and ready to go, based on grades is Javon Baker. There's nothing really great about him. He doesn't have a lot of speed. Um, but he has really good hands and he has really good route running. He's kind of slow for a wide receiver, but you know, you don't need a 100% burner. But the dude is a dog. The dude he has that complete mindset of when the ball is in the air, that's my football. That's my ball, and I'm going to get it. And that's what I love about him. The dude he goes for the ball, man. I mean, he was hurt in the All-American game. He had like a shoulder problem. I can't remember if it was like a dislocated shoulder or whatnot. And I think it was his right shoulder, and the ball was thrown to the outside shoulder on his right side, so it was his right shoulder, and he went for it, man. He dove knowing that he was going to come down on that hurt shoulder, and he didn't make the catch, but it's the fact that it shows his effort and his willingness to be like, that's my football, I'm going to go get that rock. That's my ball. And that's what you need. One guy I really don't see us finishing with, as far as recruiting wise, is Jason Jones. He has not been a part of this class for several months. I know he's on the recruiting class, but he really is not a part of this football class, of the 2020 recruiting class. I believe we will land McKinley Jackson, who I think is another very good pickup. And I think that has a lot to do with bringing in, Freddie Roach. I think that just kind of solidified it and just put it in the bag. I think Nick Saban's going to go in on an in-home visit next Thursday. And I think that just, if there was any sliver of doubt, I think that just cancels it. Another guy that I believe that we end up landing would be Ennis Wackestra. I can't really say his last name, but Ennis, the cornerback. Again, he's out of Texas, man. These Texas dudes, alongside with California, Georgia, and Florida, especially South Florida, they just breed them differently. They're a different type of breed. I believe that we land him as well. So I think those are the two guys that we definitely finish with. Depending on if, let's say, Baker can't make it because of grades, we may take another guy. I'm not sure exactly who we would take at that point, but those two are for sure, in my opinion, will be in the Alabama football class. And I guess if you really care about paper championships and recruiting championships, that would put us at the number one recruiting spot above Clemson, just with McKinley Jackson, and then you get Ennis Wackestra. That would definitely give us the number one class, unless Georgia was to take Zachary Evans, which, knowing Kirby Smart in Georgia, it wouldn't surprise me. They love that paper championship. We're going to see how that folds out. I don't know. I know Bama. I think Bama could have had Zachary Evans if they wanted him, but all that off the field issue is just, it's way too much, and I believe Nick Saban is done and over with that type of player. He took chances, especially on Antonio Alfano and Onome, and it kind of burnt him. It burned him, and we aren't really in the position to take a guy like that, even though he is immensely talented. I think you go just based on talent, he's definitely a top 2 back in the country. It just really just depends on what your preference is at running back. Zachary Evans can do just about everything very, very, very well. But it's just too much. It's too much of a headache, too much of off the field issues. So Bama passed on him. Bama told him no. And we went ahead and got Jace McClellan, to essentially take over that third running back spot to go along with Wardell Williams and Kyle Edwards. And Kyle Edwards, man, I think, and I know a lot of people don't really look at him and go, that dude's a good running back. But you got to think, I mean, he's really only had 1 year at his high school in Louisiana. He was at the same high school that John Emery Jr. came out of last year with Trey Sanders. And it was really, Trey Sanders and Emory Jones, or John Emery, on who did you think was the number one and who do you think was the number two back. You couldn't go wrong with either one of them. Both of them are elite, very, very good running backs. So you kind of have to understand why Kyle Edwards really didn't get a lot of attention, which is indicated by his 418th ranked national spot. But he plays much better than that. He plays somewhere, I think, around probably like 150-ish, 175-ish. The one dude I do kind of worry about in this class is Latham. He played in Alabama, which doesn't have, not trying to take a shot, but they don't have a ton of elite players at a every year basis, like a Georgia or Florida team does. But what made it really kind of concerning to me is he plays in the 1A division, which was the smallest group of high school competition that you could play at. He did really well, but he wasn't really going up against, elite guys, I don't even know if he could, he wasn't even going up against guys like Cohen, he wasn't even going up against guys like that, not trying to, take a slight, but it's just what it is. He didn't go up against any really good competition, so I can't really judge him based on that. Obviously, he comes in, he puts in the work, we can see where he goes from there. But he didn't play against guys, that had very good resumes. That essentially does it for the 2020 class. 2021 looking, really good off the get-go. We got our quarterback. A lot of people are kind of worried he may decommit at some point. I don't think he's going to decommit, at least at this point in time. You look at his history as far as family ties go. His dad played college football, and his dad had the same mentality of, I'm going to work hard, I'm going to wait my turn, and I'm going to do what is asked of me. I think Drake May is going to follow suit and is the same way. But, anything can change. He is in North Carolina, so who knows? It might, it might change. There's a long time, until 2021 signing day comes. Latrell McCutcheon, I think he's going to finish very close to a 5-star. He didn't really play because he tore his ACL. It happens. Wish him the best of luck. It seems like he's very good on track. Congratulations. Another guy is Dante Lawson. Again, very high. All three of these kids follow the same suit as the 2020 class. Team oriented, very high character kids. Something about Lawson was in the interview with his coach was saying how immensely smart and how driven he is in the film room. And as a linebacker, which he's listed as a weak side defensive end, but in Alabama, that's a jack linebacker. He will be, he could be calling plays. He's being talked about as a inside linebacker. Um, so we'll see how his body, transforms if he gains, quite a bit of weight. As long as it's good weight, he may move outside, but at the moment he's being talked about as an inside linebacker. Um, but his coach was saying how his coach would see something on the field and start to check into a different play, but Lawson was already in the middle of that check. So Lawson has a very fast mind, very high football IQ, and he's able to react, and change schemes and call out checks. Which, as a junior in high school, if you're already able to do that, and you're able to do it at a high level consistently, then your trajectory is only going to go higher. Um, I think he already has like 2 dozen offers. So I mean, he's obviously going to get more than that. 2020, man. Oh, I can't wait till the 2020 season comes. As long as we stay healthy, guys like Trey Sanders, he's gonna, tote the rock plenty. I think B-Rob, Brian Robinson, I think he's gonna end up either transferring, or I think he either transfers or he gets passed up by Trey Sanders. That's it. That was my thought process going into Sanders' freshman year. Was at some point he was gonna jump Brian Robinson. I think he will this year. Trey Sanders he's much better than Brian Robinson is. But the key, I think, to the entire 2020 season, other than being healthy and other than the quarterback position, which are the two obvious situations, the youth that got so much playing time, Justin Eboigbe, DJ Gale, Brian Young, Christian Harris, all these guys got so much playing time as a freshman. They're going to come into the same scheme, into the same coach, which hasn't happened in Alabama for a long time. And they're just going to pick up where they left off. So there's no really learning process, no feeling each other out process. They already did that. So I think that gives them a leg up. And that's something that Alabama hasn't had. We usually have freshmen come in and they wait their turn till their, late sophomore year or junior year. And then we see what they can do. So I think all that playing time is only going to better them. Point one, and then point two, the offensive line. We're losing Jedrick Wills, which is a big loss, but we're bringing back Alex Leatherwood. We're bringing back Deontay Brown, and we're bringing back, Dickerson. These guys, and obviously we're bringing back Evan Neal, who was a freshman All-American. We're gonna have 4 starters on the offensive line coming back, and I think that just does nothing but bode great for Alabama, and it bodes really great for the running back, whoever coached the rock, whether that be Najee Harris, who was a surprise comeback, or B-Rob or Trey Sanders. Whoever carries the rock at some point, every single time, it only helps them, and it only helps whoever's going to be the quarterback, in Mac Jones or Bryce Young. That only helps. It does so good for an offense when you can retain valuable, not just valuable players, but valuable starters that have starting time in, that have put in time on the playing field during games. They know each other. They know each other's reactions. They can read off of each other, and they're much more comfortable with each other. You do that all year, and now you have another off season in camp and in spring and all that. They're only going to get better. I think Alabama's gonna again finish top 3 in offense. I think their defense is gonna be I think as long as they're somewhere in the top 10, I think we're going to go into the playoffs. And we're going to be a force to be reckoned with. So, that just about does it. Again, I'm going to do Bama talk at least once a week, unless something big comes up. If I get any news, I'll jump on here, kind of do a quick little video. Not every video is going to be long. If you liked it, subscribe, hit that like button, and let's just go. Let's enjoy this ride, roll tide, and let's just continue to watch the GOAT do GOAT things. Later.